The Buffalo Bills waste absolutely no time in their latest roster move. Bills Mafia, today we're going to break down a move that the team just did. But before we get into it, my name is Collin. This is Crock the Table. We're all Bills, no breaks, breaking down Buffalo Bills content every single day. If you're looking for a home of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe to the channel. But let's get right into it this afternoon. So the Buffalo Bills just waived Michael Badgley from the practice squad. There's some implications with this, but again, this is a guy who was recently signed to the practice squad. He came in because Matthew Prater had the quad injury. He comes in. Last week has some bad kicks. This week, of course, in the narrow loss, the 13-12 loss against the Philadelphia Eagles, he has the kick missed, but also really struggles because of that block, right? This is just a direct response, I think, to Badgley's performance issues in the two games that he's been on the Buffalo Bills. Again, he's been in for injured Matt Prater, but this could indicate that Matthew Prater could be back for the last week of the season against the Jets. We'll see about that, but we knew at this point in the season, because Matthew Prater was not put on injured reserve or the short-term IR, in other words, that he would be back in less than 3 games or less than 4 games rather. And so it does potentially mean with this release that we're probably going to see Prater back sooner rather than later. But again, the Bills cut Badgley after a game where, frankly, there's a lot of blame to go around in yesterday's loss. We'll talk about a couple other things today in this episode of that. But within that, the blocked extra point really cost them their game. After that Josh Allen rushing touchdown near the end, we could have, not gone for 2 if we would have just had the game tied up at 13-13 with that extra point earlier from another drive. But was this the right move? Did the Bills overreact? Do you think this sounds like a vindictive, hey, you messed up? Man, the conditions were really rough yesterday. We're going to talk about those today as well. But with that being said, just to maybe talk about a couple other things here. When you look at this team, I appreciate tweets like this, but when you look at the loss yesterday to the Eagles, there's a lot of blame to go around. And we're going to talk about maybe some pros and cons of a couple different position groups or a couple different areas of our team. But the first one I just want to acknowledge is where do you think the blame resides on the most? Was it Badgley, the guy that we were just talking about, the guy that our team just moved right on from? Was it the O-line not getting enough push, not creating enough lanes for James Cook to run the ball as efficiently as he has? It was a rainy game. It was a wet game. It was not a snowy game, but it seemingly was a perfect game script for this team really to run the ball and to gash the Philadelphia Eagles. And we know a couple weeks ago, Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift ran really well against this Eagles team, but for some reason, the play calling, the offensive line, maybe that's what it was. It was the O-line that didn't give us the space. Was it Josh Allen? At the end of the game, there's just some people having some conversations in the comments. Was it Josh Allen who was, not getting enough maybe people are saying his head's not in the game, whatever. I don't think that's true. He obviously was just he was very mad at the end of this game. He was on the sideline visibly frustrated and upset, whether it be at his head as himself or the team. But maybe for Josh Allen, it was that he has a weak ankle right now, and he couldn't plant to make that end of the game throw to Khalil Shakir. But there was also some other passes that he either overthrown or some other things. But maybe for you, it was Joe Brady. We had an awesome hook and ladder play, call that really, let us continue to get that last touchdown. But ultimately, Joe Brady, there was a couple times where we're calling these screenplays. Why are we still using Khalil Shakir like he's an extension to the run game? Why don't we use him like a receiver, frankly, one that we paid? If he's just a one-dimensional gadget, behind the line of scrimmage screen catching machine or slot merchant, then why do we pay him that? Right? Was it Sean McDermott? Was it the coaching of him? It's interesting on this list right now. It wasn't Bobby Babich. His name isn't on here. Maybe it was Brandon Beane in your case. But in all of it, heavy rain was absolutely a key factor to this defensive slugfest. I don't want to, sit here and cope overall that the Buffalo Bills lost because of rain, because of the difficulties. I'm not sitting here mad. I'm still pretty excited about this team. When I look at this team right now and how they're performing, you see that the Buffalo Bills are the number 1 team in passing defense in the entire NFL. And over the last 3 weeks, they've only allowed like 140 total yards on per game in the passing game. And so there's actually a lot of excitement and hope. And even in the run game, we shut down this Philadelphia Eagles team. But the thing that I'm concerned about is going into this next phase of the season, when we're going into the playoffs, seemingly these games that we're going to be playing could potentially, depending on how things fall in this last week, be in pretty rough conditions. Now, a lot of people are suggesting that we're going to go probably play the Jaguars in Jacksonville this upcoming week. Maybe you have some thoughts on that with playoff seeding. We'll talk about that in a moment. But a couple of things with the rain and with the weather. I don't know if you have any specific or general thoughts with it. It's seemingly we lost a whole down because we fumbled the ball, or there's a couple things in this game where, Josh Allen, he even, had the interception, or rather call on the field a fumble that was ran back, and we'll talk about turnovers again in a second. But man, there's with rain, with these conditions, there was some significant loss on our offensive momentum. Whether it be the passing efficiency, it seemingly didn't drop too much, but the emphasis maybe should have ran or should have gone through more and more of the run game and didn't. We had a couple of those plays where it just seemed, whether it be the kicking play where it was blocked. Frankly, I think that has some effect on it. Whether it be that turnover, whether it be even just that down that we lost earlier in the game, there's challenges in those conditions for special teams, for players across the board. But when you look at it, I can't make any excuses for the Buffalo Bills. I can't make any excuses for them against even a Philadelphia Eagles team who, frankly, is in pretty much the same environment that we're in. They're a couple hundred miles away. They're in an open field as well. They don't again get as much snow or rain as we do, but at the same time, they're an outdoor team. This was in some sense an even playing field. Yet we let them take advantage in that. But to end this video, I want to talk about maybe a couple other key storylines. One thing that I just, watching this clip right here on the screen, if you're watching with me, I can show just a little bit of this. Jalen Hurts is going to take the snap. Watch how we get after the quarterback and cause pressure. But at the same time, it's been the narrative all year. We've now, if you're looking at this on the screen with me, you've got three defenders absolutely bracketing, absolutely surrounding Jalen Hurts. We should be getting the sack. We should absolutely pop Jalen Hurts in this video, but three of them fall at the same time, miss the tackle, Jalen Hurts runs away. This is one of the key things that our defense has struggled with throughout the year. Now, we're improving on run defense. Our pass defense is pretty great, but it's this finishing moment. What was so interesting? A couple weeks ago, I was looking at some stats, and I was really compelled. I'm really compelled by some of the pressure realities and some of the pressure stats, but one of the things that pressures need to convert to if we're going to have success down the season is actual sacks. That's one of the things that this team with Groot, with Joey Bosa, with even in the ascension of Deion Walker, which again this week we're going to have to talk more about. TJ Sanders, all right as well, but these guys on the outside, our edge rushers, and even when we do a corner or a safety blitz, we have got to get after the cornerback or the quarterback. We cannot let him go from being inches away from being sacked to running it like this. But again, I've got to be, just personally, I'm really excited about this Buffalo Bills defense right now. They allowed 13 points in the first half, but in the second half, absolutely diddly squat. There was nothing that they allowed. It was like 17 or 18, whatever it was, total yards. This was the best defensive performance in the second half for the Buffalo Bills. Now, you can say, okay, Collin, it was the rain that allowed this sort of defensive performance. Maybe it was the attrition of the fatigue of a game, of the cold, of all that, whatever you want. I don't care. You can say it however you want. But the thing that we didn't cause yesterday from our defense was turnovers. Our defense didn't cause a single turnover with a wet ball, with a sloppy field, with sliding all over. You want to see that, and losing the turnover battle, I do think, lost us this game. One thing that a lot of Bills Mafia are talking about right now, which I'm not necessarily a fan of, is this question of, is Josh Allen choking in these plays, or is he clutch? This guy is an otherworldly talent. He is incredible, reigning MVP still at this point, but people are saying things like, he's persistently lacking execution to turn over or to win these games. We've had some incredible comebacks this season, and yesterday just wasn't one of them. We were probably 2 inches or 2 feet on a throw away from winning that game. And what would the narratives be today if that throw was made? Now, I look at that end of the game throw and I ask the question again: did he not have a good foot plant because of the conditions? Did he not have a good foot plant because his ankle is weakened right now in light of it? But Josh Allen has led many comeback drives this season. Yesterday was not one of them. In the moment we want to see our quarterback rise to the occasion, he didn't. Now, is that a curse on Buffalo? No, I don't think it is. I think sometimes that's the way football falls. Now, you can talk about horseshoes and hand grenades and, whatever you want. But you know what? In a game where it didn't really matter, playoff seeding on the line, yes. But playoff implications beyond who we're going to play, we probably weren't getting the first round bye. We still have 4 games in the playoffs to win if we're going to win the Super Bowl. Man, I just don't. I just look at Josh Allen, and the one thing that I point the finger at with him is that fumble. If I were to have a gripe with Josh Allen on one thing in yesterday's game, it was the fumble. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Are there things from Josh Allen in this game that got you a little agitated, got you a little upset? But the last thing, again, that I just want to acknowledge is the playoff seeding. Now, a bunch of people are believing, based off just some statistics or odds or the betting market, that we're probably going to be going to Jacksonville. Now, there's a lot of implications. If we lose to the Jets, we'll definitely be the 7th seed. But there's chance with some losses in a couple different places that we could move up to the 7, 6, or even potentially the 5 seed. Honestly, I don't really care who we play. It's not for me at this point of this season. We're probably going to talk about the implications of that matchup in a week, but for right now, it doesn't matter who we play. It matters that we're getting healthy, hopefully here, getting Prater back in light of this roster move with Badgley being waived from the practice squad. That's the seemingly going to be the correlating move. We've got to wait probably till Wednesday or maybe even tomorrow, Tuesday, to hear specifically. But who we play in the playoffs right now, it doesn't really matter. The AFC's got some good teams. The NFC's also got some really good teams. We've only got to get through 3 AFC teams to get to the Super Bowl. I think we can still do it. Our defense is showing an increase in quality. The question for me coming out of this loss against the Philadelphia Eagles is, does the defensive play translate from the colder, rainy environment across to a maybe warmer, different type of team in the Jaguars, who do run the ball with Travis Etienne pretty well? That is a hot team right now. I'm excited. We're going to have a good week here, just breaking down maybe even a couple rookies here in a couple days. But hey, in all of it, have a great day. God bless. Go Bills. We'll see you later.